The economic forecast is in. It's not looking great for the American consumer. In July, costs for producers and manufacturers, known as wholesale inflation, rose at the fastest monthly pace since June of 2022, when we were in the pandemic. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the Producer Price Index, which measures inflation before it hits consumers, jumped 0.9% from June to July. That's the biggest monthly jump in over 3 years. It's more than 4 times what economists expected. Now, higher prices may be hitting American consumers next. So far, consumer prices have been relatively steady. Now, this is partly due to U.S. importers bearing the brunt of some of these costs, even taking steps to offset the impact by pre-ordering inventory and absorbing some of the tariffs to shield consumers. But unfortunately, that buffer between the tariffs and your wallet may not last. Let's take a step back and break this all down. There are 2 kinds of inflation that we measure on a monthly basis. Retail inflation, which is what you, the consumer, feels, and wholesale inflation. Wholesale inflation is the change in prices that businesses pay for goods. So manufacturers, producers, and business owners tend to feel wholesale inflation first before the goods even get into your hands. Costs go up for them, and then they're forced to make some pretty tough decisions. Do they and can they pass the price hike on to you as the consumer? Do they or can they squeeze their suppliers and manufacturers? In almost all cases, the impact eventually makes it to the checkout line, causing you to pay higher retail prices. But President Trump doesn't seem to believe there's any cause to worry.
We had the worst inflation in the history of our country. And now our inflation is down to a perfect number, a beautiful number, hardly any at all. And yet our country is taking in tens of billions of dollars and trillions of dollars, actually trillions of dollars in tariffs. You know all about it. It's been amazing. They say, why are we taking in so much money?
Okay, I mean, one can get exhausted doing this, but we're just going to point out lies where we can. We've not taken trillions of dollars in tariffs. It is in the billions, there's no question, but there's no reason to lie about that. Just say the number. Joining me now is Justin Wolfers, the professor of economics and public policy at the University of Michigan. He's the host of the Think Like an Economist podcast. He's the co-author of the book Principles in Economics with another famous and terrific economist, Betsy Stevenson. Justin, great to see you. Thank you for being with us. This is a great moment because normally you see these things move in slightly tighter lockstep in wholesale inflation and consumer inflation. We're not seeing that, so it's important. This is a great opportunity to point out. We now have wholesale inflation at a much higher number than we expected, and now the question becomes what happens next, because most of us don't buy things wholesale, we buy things retail.
Yeah, absolutely. So the producer price index is all about what happens to the stuff businesses buy. The consumer price index, the C there, consumer, is the stuff you and I buy. And of course, you and I buy stuff from producers. So think about this as the snake that swallowed the inflationary rat. We're seeing it halfway along the snake, and there's a big bulge in the snake right now. So one question, I guess, is whether the snake can just digest that enormous rat stuck halfway through, or is he going to poop it out the end? I'm getting a bit graphic here, as the sort of consumer price inflation that you and I will see. My guess, for what it's worth, is usually when you swallow too big of a rat, something comes out the other end and consumers end up getting hurt.
So Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, was on Morning Joe recently, and he was asked the question very directly, who pays for the tariffs? Listen to what he said.
Who pays the tariffs is a choice, and what we've seen thus far is that the manufacturers are eating a substantial portion of the tariffs and taking it into their profit margins.
So just when Donald Trump is lying about trillions, that's a lie. This is not a lie. He's making an interesting point. It's a choice, but it's not your and my choice, Justin. It may be the choice of a major retailer who can afford to squeeze, the manufacturer, or can afford to take a little bit of a profit cut to absorb the money. It's not a choice for you and me. Someone else will make the decision if a tariff is paid as to whether you and I are paying it.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if it was a choice? I'd just walk in and I'd say, you know what? Didn't vote for the guy. I'm not paying the tariff. I'll take the discount price and the rest of you schmucks can pay more.
Right.
But no, that's not how it works. So, look, I just want to be really clear, because Bessent actually was trying to use a bunch of cowardly language to not be as clear as he could. Here's how it works. If Best Buy imports a washing machine from abroad, say from Korea, it hits the docks in America. and Best Buy will have paid some price for it. At this point, Best Buy can only get that washer out of customs if Best Buy pays the tariff.
Correct.
That's it. They're going to have to pay $100 to get it out. So at a literal level, Best Buy sends the check on. Now, economists don't look at what's literal. We then say, well, how does everything get connected here? So there are actually 4 possible things that could happen. The first is, in order to maintain market share, Samsung could cut the price they charge Americans. Turns out we have very good data on that. It's called the Import Price Index.
Yep.
The Import Price Index hasn't fallen a penny, which means foreign companies aren't bearing a penny of the imports. Second thing that could happen is Best Buy could pay the extra $100 and then it could jack up its price to consumers by $100. Best Buy comes out okay. We've seen a little bit of that, but not very much. So that tells us it must be the third thing. And the third thing is Best Buy's margins get compressed. And this is why you've heard things like Ford talking about $1 billion write-off for tariffs. You've heard the same thing from General Motors, and you're hearing it throughout earnings season. The only other thing that can happen is they just stop sending washing machines, in which case the consumer goes without, but it doesn't show up in our statistics. So the important point to realize here is foreigners are paying 0 of our tariffs. Yep. At the moment, the battle is between, will it be companies that pay them, but those are companies owned by Americans, or will it be you and I who pay them at the store? Again, you and I are Americans, but there's no doubt Americans are paying the tariffs at this point.
Yeah, and what we haven't got a chance to talk to, but we'll talk about next time, is we're talking about Best Buy, which may have some leverage and ability to do that. There are a whole lot of small businesses who have no control over this situation whatsoever.
Absolutely.
And you're going to start seeing more of them going out of business because there's nothing they can do about it. Justin, thanks as always. Justin Wolfers is a professor of economics and public policy at the University of Michigan. All right, coming up, as Republicans